Okay, so we are going to decide where you're going to part the hair. I like to do a pretty deep side part, but you can do this more or less, or choose which side. And then you're going to take a baby section about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch, depending on how big you want the wave. The smaller the iron, the smaller the section, the tighter the wave. So you can do a bigger, looser Veronica Lake wave, or you can do a tighter 1920s wave. You're going to back comb each section, and you can put a little powder puff or a little powder here if you want to. Make sure, I'm just using the small end of this one. You can do, however, 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 of an inch seem to make the best curls. If you do any bigger than that, it's going to be much more of a wave and you won't see as much detail. And I hold it till it's nice and hot. You really want to make sure it's hot all the way through. Then you gather all of the hair together, keeping it in shape. Try not to let the curl fall out, and put a little pin curl in to hold it and set. This is the new way of doing the old-fashioned in beauty school, when you had to use camel snot and all that liquid crap and set them under the dryer for 4 hours. This is the more modern, easy way to do it, which works just as well. So you're going to continue and roll everything forward. So you want to make sure that each curl is wrapped the same way, the whole way throughout the entire updo. This is the trick, this is the key for the waves to connect. They all have to go the same way. So you're going to do it all forward, bunch it together. Okay, so now we've got that first top section. You can see how I've placed them. And we are going to take another small section. Probably want to split this into 2 or 3 pieces depending on the size of their head. So I'm starting from that back curler, back combing it. You could probably take a little smaller section if they have really thick hair. She happens to have really fine hair, so I can get away with doing a little bit bigger section here. And then you're just going to rinse and repeat the entire way, all the way forward. After this, you're going to do another section underneath, curl them all the way forward. If you have a glove with your wand, or if you want to use a Marcel, this is good because sometimes you can burn your little fingertips, but you really need to get those ends in, and they can't be fish hooked, or else it will ruin your after effect when you're curling them all under. So now we've done that entire side, and I'm going to start with the other side before I go to the back. This can be a little tricky with the iron. You just need to figure out what feels comfortable for you. And On the finer pieces towards the end, if they have a lot of flyaways, I do just put a little spray at the end. I also put a setting spray in her hair, and I gave her a really nice blowout with some anti-gravity by Kevin Murphy. You can use any kind of a root boost or anything to get it to hold curl really well, but you want this to be cemented. You want it to hold its shape for days. So I've had finger waves where the curls have lasted for 3 to 4 days plus. So you really want to not be shy to use product. Okay, so now I've done and finishing up my last curl for the entire head. And depending on their hair and how hot, you want to make sure each curl is cooled all the way when you touch the inside of it, that it doesn't feel warm anymore. And you give it a once over spray, let the curls cool completely, and then you can go ahead and take them out. Okay, so we've taken all the curls out, we've allowed it to cool completely. This is where you go back to your beauty school basics, the old school way of finger waves. So instead of combing them into wet hair after it's been permed, we've already created the curl, and now we're gonna go and really do that ridge, which makes the whole finger wave. So as you're starting to brush it out, you can see the waves start to appear. So you want to create that really nice C-shaped curve, and I definitely use pins a lot to help me get that wave, and then we're going to go back and reinforce it with the iron. So I'm just going to go back through, brush, but not all the way through the back combing, but just really get that wave and that ridge towards their face. Sometimes you got to play with it, see what the hair is going to do. If it's not working, that means you haven't brushed it out well enough and you haven't combined it well enough. So just keep playing with it until you get that ridge. So once I get that really good first ridge in, I'm gonna go back in after I secure it with pins where the ridge is. I'm going to add some heat and get that iron. You can see in the mirror that really nice ridge sticking out. That is the money maker. That is what makes fingerwaves amazing. And that ridge sells everything. This is what people have the hardest time. Even after we filmed this, 5 people came and asked me how the hell I did this, because it is really easy, but it looks super hard. So you can go back through, just really create that strong ridge. And then you go back through with the wand or the iron, and you really create that first ridge on top and the first ridge on the bottom that's gonna go over her eye. Those are the ones that you really want to emphasize, because as long as you get those right, the rest of it doesn't really matter as long as it's curled and pretty. So I'll add a little spray, and then I get the wand and I smooth all those flyaways down, and then really reinforce that ridge. This is the number one finishing tool to do, and lift up with the comb. So you're getting the hair around the iron to really reinforce that ridge. Have I said that too many times? Well, good, because that is what you actually really need to be patient with, because that's what makes this entire updo. And if you skip out on this step, you will have done all of this in vain, and you will not have that nice deep ridge. Okay, so I've combed the bottom into nice cohesive curls. I've reinforced the ridge with the pin curls and gone over it with the iron to make sure that it's nice and creased. And then I sprayed it again, and then I'm going to take out the pin curls. So yeah, go ahead, fine tune it. Any little teeny piece that is coming out, brush it out. Make sure it's not sticky. Sometimes I use a shine spray here to help. I really like the sleek classic look. So this is where it's just personal preference. Do you like it curlier? Do you like it fluffier? I mean, if you want more of an avant-garde look, you can definitely fluff it and ruche it out. I like the really nice tight look. I think it looks more authentic, and I'm kind of more about the old Hollywood wave. So I like it to be uniformed, but I have done it before with editorial styles where I've backcombed and fluffed out the entire bottom and still having that nice wave and that nice ridge, and that also looks really cute. It's just not as authentic, and I'm kind of more old school. So I'm using a can of hairspray. I spray it first, and it actually really helps smooth down because your fingers get sticky. Kevin Murphy hairspray has, it's designed that way for the can to actually be the smoother. Okay, so once we get this all set, perfect, pretty, you can mess with it forever. Voila, we're done. I'm going to give you a 5-minute bonus. Thank you for watching. Here's how to turn this into, let's say you wear this and you're at a party and you're getting hot, or your wedding or client has something later. This is going to be a quick 5-minute how to transform finger waves into a quick updo. So basically, going back to old school, beauty school again, you know, there's a tried and true for classics. Basically make a pin curl. So you follow the iron curl pattern that you put in because you curled everything the same way, right? And you just put some bobby pins, usually put 2, making sure you go down, in, and crisscross through the loop so that they don't show. And you can just go all the way across the back, and this is a really quick, easy, beautiful way to pull up and then get 2 looks out of one do. Once you get all the pin curls put in the back, then you can start pulling from the front, making sure you don't disturb that wave. You can see in the mirror the front of her wave. I always use my mirror for symmetry to make sure. And here you can leave it down and have it curly and messy, or I like it nice and clean because it's more classic. And you just twist it down in. You can create as much detail or as little detail here as you want. This is where you get lots of options and where you just get to be creative and train your eye for what you like and customize it for what your client likes, of course. right, now I'm just securing everything, making sure it's tight. I always have them do a little head shake to make sure nothing's gonna fall out and loose. And then I always go over it again and spray it. And you can look in the front of the mirror and the back of the mirror and kind of see how it all turned out. Voila!